rAVe Radio. With rants and raves, you'll be okay. And today is your lucky day. It is rants and raves with Gary.
Hey everyone, I'm Steph Beckett. Welcome back to another episode of Rants and Raves. This is our pre-InfoComm 2026 series, kind of talking about a few of the things that you guys can expect if you are attending the show. Joining me this time is Joshua Kell from Horizon AVL. First of all, Joshua, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Steph?
How's the InfoComm prep going?
Oh, it's going. Lots of meetings.
A lot of fake smiles every time I ask someone about that.
It's going great.
I totally get it. Well, for those who are watching or listening, tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so Horizon AVL, we are a traditional AV integration firm, have been in business for over 40 years. Typical verticals, house of worship, state and local government, education. And then about 8 years ago, we started a whole division dedicated to the world of esports, building out facilities, not just from a competitive side, but also academic. So we have curriculum that's wrapped around the world of esports and then all the related industries. So broadcast, IT, cybersecurity, and marketing, et cetera. So quick snapshot of who we are.
Yeah, that's really cool. So for people who still think of esports as just gaming, I don't think a lot in our industry do still, but just in case, you're teaching a couple of sessions at InfoComm, and what you're positioning is this is a bigger AV and production opportunity. So what do you think the AV industry still kind of misunderstands about esports environments?
Yeah, I think everyone still focuses still on the gaming side, and that's still a misunderstanding of actually how competitive gaming sort of functions. There are nuances, there are elements in the world of esports and gaming that I think a lot of integrators still don't truly fully understand, and we kind of see that in some of the product selection or the products themselves that manufacturers are sort of kind of putting it out there in the world of esports. But it is an opportunity for production and broadcast, and really even into the virtual production world. And that's something that we have been really heavily investing in as far as when we build a facility itself. It's not just about the physical elements that are there, but what is the virtual side of things, from virtual sets, remote production itself. And those workflows are changing dramatically week by week, really, month by month. And so trying to grab onto the bandwagon as much as possible, the world of esports, it's still moving at a fast pace. And the way that colleges, universities, even professional environments have started shifting into more of this virtual production mindset. And so when we are developing a lot of these products and a lot of these solutions, it is heavily focused on the production side of things.
That makes a lot of sense. And one of your sessions is going to be on how different esports spaces they're quite different from traditional AV projects. So I'm interested if you could talk about some of the unique design or workflow considerations that integrators might not anticipate at first.
Yeah, one of the biggest things are the elements of what gamers are utilizing, right? They're utilizing consumer-based products that they come to know certain elements of refresh rates and latency elements that the AV world we're concerned with, but it's not always at the top priority, right? And so we're kind of merging these two worlds that are coming together, and what the gamers are still looking for from a competitive side need to be met at the end of the day, but then broadcast needs its level of understanding and its workflow. And so when you're coming into these spaces, it is really understanding all of these consumer products that have to integrate with commercial products as well. And so that, I think, is probably one of the biggest challenges that we are seeing with these spaces that are out there.
Makes a lot of sense. And since you've worked on more than 100 esports projects across education and large venues, like that's quite the feat. Like, why do you see so many schools and universities investing in esports right now? And what are they hoping that these spaces accomplish beyond just that competition aspect?
Yeah, so really it comes down to transferable skills. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. there has been a lot of talk about esports is more than just the competitive gameplay in our world of esports, right? And I'm constantly looking at the feeds on LinkedIn and X, and all the social media platforms are really starting to dive into the depth of what esports can offer. A lot of these colleges and universities are seeing this as a springboard into these other industries that exist out there. So they are using esports as that vessel, that vehicle to then bring in students and individuals that like gaming, but then prepare them for a larger industry that is broader than just playing the games itself. And so when we look at like projects like Syracuse University, they have 2 schools that are working on that within the university. So their Falk School of Business and Sports Management, and then their Newhouse production. And so that's something really interesting where we're seeing multiple colleges being able to gravitate and utilize these esports facilities to then prepare students for the workforce.
That makes a lot of sense. And since you kind of mentioned this, one of the sessions that you're teaching is also about getting into the esports business. Mm-hmm. For AV integrators or event professionals who are kind of curious about the space, where are you seeing the biggest opportunities there?
I would definitely say in the collegiate space, there's a lot of opportunity that exists out there. We can't be everywhere. We'd love to be everywhere all at once, but really understanding, and this kind of comes back to a series that we had done with you guys, a blog. Authentic esports is mm-hmm. really something that we tell a lot of people. If you're going to get into this, you really need to be well understanding of the industry, of the gaming industry. And so authentically coming into it, not just someone who may have played, and we hear this all the time, last game I played was Pac-Man or Pong. Well, that's probably not the right choice of individual that you want to look at. You need someone who's up to date on the latest game styles, the latest gameplay, the way that matches and tournaments run, but then also the requirements that are necessary within the world of broadcast and production. And so, if you're getting into that, it stretches you beyond the world of AV, and that's something that we've been really excited to kind of see our team be able to accomplish. Is it's not just another AV project for us. Yeah. For us, it is so much more where we are working with these students to prepare them for our industry, but we're using gaming and we can talk their language too. So that's really exciting to see.
That is not at all the game that I thought you were going to use as the example, by the way. Like, I was for sure, I was like, he's always going to say, like, I haven't played since Halo 1, which is, like, what my answer would have been.
And I will normally judge, not to judge, but I normally judge based on where you are. Like, if you're not understanding the latest meta, the latest game, like, if you're not up to date with Valorant and Overwatch, and if you're something with Halo, original, I come from my big competitive days were Counter-Strike. So, and that's Counter-Strike 1.5, 1.6, and Source. I've moved on from there since then, but that's where it all began for me. I still am in panels that I'm at esports venues and educational things, and people are like, they still talk about Pong, and I'm like, oh boy, this should not be the person that we're sort of listening to. It's been decades since that particular game
it's gone.
has existed.
It's dead.
And once again, it goes back to authentic esports, right? It is an authentic gaming itself. I'm still gaming. Like, my latest game, actually 2 games I'm playing right now. Winrose, which is a pirate game, kind of like a Rust or Conan Exiles sort of thing. Really fun.
Nice.
Early access to it, so we've kind of gone through that. And Arc Raiders. I love Arc Raiders. I mean, we get on. What's really, really fun is every time I go to a new site, I find students who are playing Arc Raiders, and we just kind of dive right in once the facility's built and get in there and do it. It's pretty fun.
Very nice. I'm in a cozy gaming era myself. So like Animal Crossing, Hello Kitty Island Adventure, like something to like calm the overstimulation. If you know what I mean. So getting back on track here. since esports is living at this like interesting intersection of AV, broadcast, live production, and education, and also entertainment, do you think that esports is starting to reshape how the AV industry thinks about experiential and production-driven spaces overall?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I really see esports driving a lot of that technology integration levels. Like, we are pushing the limits with the way that broadcast is being done. You know, a lot of the 2110 infrastructure that exists out there, or some of those new networking protocols that are available in the world of production and broadcast are really stretching and molding the way that regular AV is sort of adopting. Networking for us is first and foremost how we go into all of our projects. And so that infrastructure and understanding that infrastructure is key, because the AV industry has been adopting all of those standards. And I really feel that esports and the flow that we've been working on for so long, we've worked in a remote environment forever, right? As gamers, and now we're seeing large-scale deployments and projects start to follow a lot of that architecture.
Very cool. Well, I will make sure to include the details for both of the courses that you were teaching in the episode notes. So if you are interested in signing up and attending, you will have all of that information, the where and when and what room. So Joshua, thank you very much for being on this episode of Ransom Raves.
Appreciate it.
And for anyone who would like to know where to connect with you online or where to find out more about Horizon AVL, where can they do that?
Yeah, so parent company, horizonavl.com. That has all of our information, and that will also lead you to esportsintegration.com, which is our dedicated esports. And then if you're interested in any of the curriculum or the platform, our own LMS, you can visit platform1.gg.
Awesome. And don't forget, on our site as well, you can go to ravepubs.com/infocom for all your Infocom news. Again, I'm Steph Beckett. This was another episode of Ransom Raves, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
rAVe Radio with Ransom Raves.